Well, I'm going to open up just by saying it's good to be back to work. It's been a good summer. We had it seemed like forever to get to this point when we get to actually go out and practice again. As a coach, you kind of get to a point where you miss your guys, and I was around the building obviously and saw how hard they were working, and really felt good about the summer we were having because I felt like we had a championship summer. We had no distractions off the field. Had a lot of purpose and focus in our work, and the guys worked really hard. Our strength staff did a tremendous job again. Coach Moore, he's the thump in our program, did an excellent job at getting them prepared and getting them ready. And after 2 days of practice, it's like I said, it's really good to be back, back on the work, back to work, back on the field, and back doing football with them. I'll just stop right there and open it up to questions from you guys.
You talked in the spring about having some new toys with the offense. Just talk
Right.
about the weapons you do have in the depth.
Yeah, we have. We obviously have a lot of depth. That's positions, the playmaking positions. I start with our receiver core. The guys came back in great shape. We're a big, fast receiving unit. Devontae Parker is a force. A guy that we've worked on targeting last year during the course of the season, and feel like we've got to get him a lot of touches. And Damian Copeland now for a year and a half, going on almost 2 years now, has become a great player for us. He too had a great summer, had a great spring. So those two guys are the two lead dogs at that position. But we've got guys who have emerged. Robert Clark, I felt like had a really good spring, and he's really made Eli Rogers better because they're competing for the same job, the same playing time. At the same time, we've got guys who have been in backup roles who have really came on. Jared Davis had a really good spring. He's had a good camp in just the 2 days we've been out there, picked up where he left off. And with James Quick in the mix now at that position, we've got a lot of speed at the Z spot. So it's been fun to play with that, during camp thus far, just in the 2 days. Then the receiver, at the other receiver spot, outside lane spot, our X spot behind Devontae, Matt Milton. We finally have got Matt out. He missed spring ball, had a little knee cleanup he needed to do, and he had a really good summer. The training staff did a really nice job with him. He's back full speed, and he's had 2 really good days. So we've got a lot of guys, a lot of toys to play with there. And the tight end position, that room has been a room that we've worked really hard at improving. Just the depth, as well as the skill sets that we were looking for. Joe Christian had a really good spring for us. He gives us a lot of multiplicity, as well as B.J. Butler and Jalen Harrington. Those guys can do so many different things. It's endless what we can do with those guys. It's a challenge coaching those 3 guys and just target them and just being able to do all the different things their skill set lets you do. And then the guy who really is probably the most consistent player at that position, without a doubt, is Ryan Hubble. He's underneath the radar screen, I think, nationally, just because, all these other, we have so many guys at that spot, but he is our most consistent tight end. He's played really big for us in the spring, had a really solid season in his first season, and he's had a great camp thus far. So those spots, we've got a really nice group of guys. I think I've already mentioned James as a receiver. Keith Tobridge as a freshman tight end gives us added depth. He's been very impressive in just 2 days. He still doesn't. We're still figuring out all what he knows and what he doesn't. But and we've got to put pads on with him yet. But he's had a really nice 2 days. The tailback room, there's 5 guys in that room now that can play. The thing that I'm probably most excited about and, really a little in awe about is how fast Sonaris has come back. And that's due to, his hard work and the hard work of our training staff. Those guys in our training room don't get enough credit either for the job they do. They did a great job with Sonaris. And, of course, he had to do the work, but they had the plan. And they have really done a nice job with him, and he's done a great job of finding his way back, because you can't tell there's anything he's ever been through. We told him there would be 2 guys that roll off this injury if he comes back this fast, he and Adrian Peterson. And we said, Adrian Peterson, he's kind of, he's the exception. He's a freak. And Sonaris asked me last night if he was, and he's categorized as one now too. He's done very well in 2 days. Then Dominic, had a really big spring for us, really big spring, and became a tailback. I felt like after spring ball, Dominic played the position in 11. He understood and got a feel for the position, and applied his skill set to his play this past spring. So he's been again we've just been in short. So but he's picked up where he's left off and been really good. Adding Michael to that room has upped the ante and created great competition. And of course we got Corvin and also Brandon. So those are a lot of fun pieces to play with. So we've got a lot of talent, and I'm really happy. I tell you, I'm very, very happy with the progress of Will Gardner. I think he has really come on, man. He's in 2 days. Again, it's only 2 days. A lot of water to run over the dam, but he's had a really good camp, and his progress over the summer has been outstanding. So really excited about all those guys. We had a bunch of them. Oh yeah, we used in the spring game. We used 9 different ones. Right now we have just our base ones in. When we get through training camp, we'll be somewhere between. It'll be around 15 different personnel groups, and then we have a possibility if we extend our installs another day or two, we might get in another 2 or 3. So, it just allows you so many different ways. And the biggest challenge for us as a staff has been how to target these guys. What I want to do is I want to have the ability to move these guys around and not leave them in one spot, so a defense can't say he always plays there, he always does this. And our system allows us to do that, and we can get a lot of touches and we can get whoever we want to touch the ball. We can put them in the target pattern. So that's been what we've really worked on this past winter. What we've spent our summer on, and what we're doing right now with our guys. And they've in 2 days we've moved them all over the place. It's really awesome having a veteran group of guys, because what happens is they understand conceptually what we're doing. They understand how we teach, why we teach. They know the why factor. So it's easy plug-in for us, and we're able to move really fast. And we've been very multiple so far without any errors, and been very clean.
What was the average last season, just the average?
In a game, we would probably be, probably in about 6 or 7. Sometimes, in the bowl game we were in a lot more because we had longer prep time and our guys were developed and we kind of knew what we had. We had the tight ends, we had moved Jalen and BJ, and that allowed us some more flexibility. But we've gained a much more multiplicity now with those guys.
You mentioned Michael. You talked about adding Michael Dyer, and what did you talk to the other guys? Did you guys talk to the other guys?
Right. Yeah, you always have to be up front with the guys, and that's the way we run our program. They know exactly what we're doing, and Michael knew exactly what he was walking into too. He's just, he's been very humble and very hardworking, and he knows he's got to earn his way, with the players as well as with us. And that's the way we work around here. That's why it'll work for him, because we earn everything that we make them earn it, and we earn it. So it's been a good room. Those guys have been really good with him too. Yeah, but that's the chemistry of our team.
I know it's only 2 days and no pads, but have you seen anything? What have you seen from him?
Well, I think the only thing that you can really tell after 2 days is, their skill set's there, obviously. Okay, that's easy to see. But, he gets football easy. It comes easy to him. He's a natural football player. He understands the game.
Coach, you've got a lot of experience, total experience at backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you all will want to have some hierarchy behind Teddy by the time the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that after the season starts?
I tell you what, we've got a unique way of practicing around here. We've always gotten our backups a ton of reps. They'll walk out of a practice week. On a typical day, Teddy would have probably about 56 throwing reps, and Will Stein would have 40 to 42. It's the way that we manage our practice. It's the style in which we play. So that quarterback's just not, the backup guy's just not sitting there watching the starter do the work. He's actually participating in it because of our style of practice. And he's very much involved. So, you know, like I said before, my statement, Will Gardner is our backup. And Will Gardner's a really good football player. And he has progressed, and part of his progress has been his example in front of him. I mean, he gets to see it being done, being done right, the way the coach wants it done, the vast majority of the time. So, you know, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So he's been able to, I think, progress fast because, one, his character, his football intelligence, his skill set. Plus, you put that with, the example he has in front of him, and it's been a really, I think, very positive experience for him. He struggled in the beginning of spring because it was his first time. Now that he's gone through it his second time, actually participated in it, I mean, he's been very, very good. I've been really impressed now with what he's done so far.
What's the biggest thing left that he has to learn?
Will? He'll have to learn to manage the game. You know, all those things are, when I'm talking about the things I'm talking about is progress, and what I like about what he's done, I'm talking about conceptually executing the offense. Where he'll have to grow is he'll have to grow in the management aspect, which we have not even got close to that in 2 days of practice. We take basically the first 4 days, and we put our whole offense and defenses in, and then we begin on situational offense and defense, red zone, nickel downs, etc. 2 minute, the things that are critical for a quarterback, the pressure situations, and that's where he'll, that'll be another whole growth spurt for him. And that is the biggest area. That was the biggest area for Teddy. It's the biggest area for every quarterback I've ever had. So there'll be a learning curve there. I'm really pleased with where he's at in terms of the base offense, and that'll be our next hurdle with him, honestly.
What are some of the differences, / improvements we're going to see in Teddy this year?
Well, I think the number one thing with Teddy is I think the number one thing with me with Teddy is that he has to control his emotions, because when I'm talking about that, I don't want him to feel like the pressure of he's got to perform a certain way. Basically, our whole approach here is, we already have the culture that we need to win. It's called working hard. It's called paying attention to the details. It's, it's being fundamentally sound. So our approach is that, fundamentally sound, and it's centered around hard work. So, we just stay same as. And I've just tried to control, those thoughts that he has to do something special or something unique. Just run our offense, just manage it. And I spent a lot of time really pointing out to him all the things that, the difference between 11 and 12. This is what you did. This is why we are where we're at. You became a weapon. Now you don't need to change. And there's always things that fundamentally we're going to work on to up his game. Things that we've worked on, like little things, footwork, getting the ball out quicker. I've tried to shorten him up a little bit, which he's done a great job of. But he's overall, those are the things. That's the number one thing for me. Just control those emotions. You don't have to do anything. Let's just keep working hard.
Vance was in here and said that he expects your offense to slice him down.
Oh, I appreciate that from Vance.
Is that a realistic appraisal?
Well, in this game, I know this. You have to stay humble, because as a coach, you start thinking, a player, you start thinking, you're going to get your tail end kicked, and I'm not going to let that happen to us. The thing that we've always had, the approach, we felt this way last year. It's even more so this year, is that we have to earn everything that we want. So in order to do that, what do? You got to work hard. You got to have a plan. And, so we stay to the process. We stay to the plan. And, with that, if we do what we're supposed to do, all those things that are supposed to come our way will. You put the skill set with it, we'll do some good things. But we can't put the cart in front of the horse. We can't get all messed up, with our thought process. And so it's really centered around just that. We know we have to earn it. In order to earn it, we've got to work hard. We have a philosophy that's centered around that, and that's what we're going to do.
You want to retaliate by putting a burden on the defense?
No, I won't do that to him. I tell you this, though. I want to tell you this now, and it's not meant to be like that. We have felt them. We have felt them. I told those guys that this past spring. They are so different. They're playing with great confidence. They've made some key adjustments, I believe, like in personnel and their packages and just in their scheme. And we really felt them. They have made our work tough on us. And, I got to hear the very end of what Vance was talking about, and I believe we're making each other better. The competition on that field is very, very competitive. As we have corners that can cover, we have great safeties. I don't know if there's two better safeties that I've been around ever than those two kids. Our linebacker core, the guys up front with Malden and Marcus, Dunn and all those kids. They've been a handful, and they're doing some great things, scheme-wise. I think those players, they were probably where we were in 11. They were learning what it took to be run their package and to become a great defense, and it became that on the Sugar Bowl game. And since then, they've played with great confidence. You can feel them every day in practice. Very competitive.
Coach, can you speak on Michael Harrison, how he's doing and what he will add?
Yeah. I think he's going to be really big for us. I'm hoping that Michael can replace Andrell and play that role for us, because he's got the same, not his height is not the same, but he's still a big guy. He's 6'2", he's a big kid, and I want to move him and play him in the inside slot in that same role. Michael brings to our whole team, and even when he was injured was this way. He's an inspirational leader. The guys listen to him. Sometimes you can't help but listen to him because he's always talking, but he's at the same time he's got a great heart and a great passion for the game. So he was a really huge piece for us on 11. So having him back out, and with what he brings in terms of respect from the other guys, with what he's been through and how he's fought back, he can be I think a dramatic leader for us because of just his presence and what he's put out there.
How's the offensive line?
They're doing well. I think our first group, I'm really, we have four, really veteran guys. I'm counting Cam Joyer in there because Cam really played last year in a role that he became a starter for us, really, honestly. Even though at times he was listed as a backup, he played as much as John because John was hurt. During that time, he played at a starter's level. But, moving Jake to center, a huge move for us. That's been a big move because he can captain all the line calls. He has that experience. He's a great leader in there. He's the thump in that room. He's the guy everybody listens to, and he's been able to captain all that for us, that leadership role and the calls with the front. Moving Jamon to the left tackle, a huge move because that's the blind side for Teddy. As you know, as a right-hander, he's done a great job for us, and John Miller's played really good for us. Our right tackle is the job that we're looking to fill during training camp. Ryan Mack will not give it to Nacho Garcia, so that's just been a battle. And, we've been in underwear, so the battle really begins when we put shells on today. It'll start intensifying. We get pads on. We'll see how that unfolds. I like our younger guys as they're coming along. Guys like T.C. Klusman, who were redshirted last year, promising prospect. He's going to battle Mike Romano for that backup job. Joe Manley's another guy who, has showed promise, on the offensive line. There's just, I think, what in that room with the freshmen that are coming in, there's now we have depth and we have competition because of the depth. So our backups, we're developing to become starters. We're not there yet, but we have right now a core group of about 7 kids that I feel really good about, and then a potential pool of about 5 kids that, I feel like during the course of a season, it's usually when it happens because of development in the line, it's such a technical position that we're going to be pretty good by the time the season ends at that spot.
Shawn, what's your early impression of Kyle Bowler?
Kyle's been really good. I wouldn't be, Kyle's going to compete, for, that third spot. I think he will. I think he'll be in competition with Brett Nelson and Andrew Richner right now. Kyle, football has come very easy to Kyle, which I knew because, I'd been around him so much over the last 2 years. He's got a nice skill set, very good passer, got great feet. And I tell you, he's in China a little bit now because the terminology is obviously different. So he's going through that transition. But, as far as the skill set goes, he's got it. And he's a quick study. So I'm going to believe, because we'll keep it scaled down for him so that he can learn to execute the offense like we did Teddy, and we'll transition him into it. But I think with that, I know he'll compete. He'll compete with those other guys for that third spot.
The knee's 100%.
Oh, yeah, he looks great. He looks great.
Shawn, Charlie talked the other day about Cameron possibly, he played center or something.
Yes.
Will he be the back?
It could. It's real big. And when we get into, really right now putting shells on today, we'll begin to start to be able to see what we need to see. Because, it's hard to play offensive line in shorts. It's just nearly impossible. So what'll happen today, and when we put pads on, we'll give those, Romano and we'll give Klusman an opportunity to battle, and we'll swing him in there. Because what Borbs does, David always is a master coach at his position. He knows how to teach. He'll teach swing tackles and swing inside guys. So we'll have a guy that can cover all three pieces. We did that with Cupper. He was the exception because he covered 5. But we'll have all those swing pieces, and Borbs will, by what a guy can handle, what he's ready for, then he'll manage that as we go through training camp.
Will the offense place an emphasis on scoring as many points as possible to keep climbing in the bowls?
Around here we don't think that way. We just, we're going to do our business with class. We're going to do what it takes to win, and we don't go into it looking like that. I think when people do that, they end up being very, very unhappy. Because what happens is they're playing for the wrong reasons, and they end up getting upset, and end up taking a lick where, because they're focused at the wrong things. Sometime during the process, that runs out on them. So we don't think that way. We're very fundamental about our thoughts. We're going to do what it takes to win, and however those games come out, that's the way it'll be.
When posters and guys like that are judging this team, how much do you think they should look at that for?
Can you repeat the first part?
When posters and
Okay.
like that are judging this team, how much should they look at that?
Honestly, that's for everybody out there to decide, because that's not the way we run the show here. It's like, we were telling our guys the other day, the most important thing is that we take care of our business 1 week at a time. Right now, 1 day at a time, literally 1 day at a time. Because when you get too far ahead of yourself and you get caught up in the world, that's when you really get let down. We don't want to go through what we've seen other teams go through. So we're going to stay focused on the moment, the day, and the process, which is 1 day at a time, 1 practice at a time, 1 period at a time. It's kind of a formula of one. And what people on the outside decide, that's what they decide. We told them the other day, said, what happens? You take care of your business. You do what you're supposed to do. You stay in our culture and do what we ask you to do, because we know how to do this. Then we'll wake up at the end of the last game, and whatever happened, happened. And most time when you wake up and you're pretty daggone happy.
Coach, have you ever been around another offense that seems as focused as this one when run so many formations that defense can't key in on basically anything? Have you ever been around
I don't know if I've had this many pieces, but I've had, the ability to throw and pass like this. Pass and run, actually. I've had that ability before. At Colorado in 2001, we could basically do whatever we needed to do to win. We're like that, but we're more multiple than what we were then because of, really basically our tight ends. Just what that room brings to the table.
Charlie talked about his time at Florida and how difficult it can be when you're expected to win every game.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been in a situation like How much do you need to guard maybe against sapping all the fun out of every win?
Yeah, you got to be really careful. I've worked at places like that where, you know, great programs, like, you know, Nebraska's a great program, you know, so, you know, that air is always there, and it does take the fun out of football if you're in those types of situations. Charlie's, you know, linking it to his experience at Florida, you can understand that if you've been in those situations, and I have been. You know, I've been in them, you know, at Colorado, been in them at Nebraska. You know, it grew to that at Northwestern, and you know, you got to really be careful because, you know, you start looking at things on the outside. You know, we call it the, you know, the white noise. You know, it's, you know, you start hearing the, you know, things, and you know, you need to block all that out and stay focused on what got us here. You know, what got us to this point is hard work. What got us to this point is our purpose and our focus. So that's what we need to do. Simply just stay focused on what we know to be true, hard work.
What was your reaction, and maybe what was Teddy's reaction to seeing all these helmets and things pop up with his signature on it?
You know, it's with Teddy, you know, any of these college kids, here's what happens. You know, guys show up at the outside of stadiums, and when a kid comes out of the locker room, they're wanting to get the helmet signed, card signed, whatever signed. And that's a problem that, you know, I think that every university needs to field and keep that away. But then sometimes you rob the fans. Sometimes they show up at your fan day. You know, so how do you guard against those things? I think, you know, I know this about Teddy Bridgewater. He was raised right. He's about all the right things. He's a great choice maker, and he would never, ever get in a situation where he would jeopardize his future or anything with this football team.
How hard is it going to be to have a balanced
Oh.
offense, sorry, with,
Bird's nest.
You know, with a guy like Teddy back there, how hard is it going to be to keep a run pass offense?
You know, not hard at all because, you know, our run game needs to take the pressure off of Teddy. You know, you know, the run game is rush control. You know, that's, you know, if you know that you're going to throw it every down, or defense knows you're going to throw it every down, that's a long day. And I do not want to put Teddy in that. My number one, Teddy is much more effective when we're balanced. Now, he can hurt you really bad because he understands how to operate and function in our offense. And when we can run the ball, he's at his highest level. You know, the North Carolina game's an example. I mean, you know, when we're able to run the football, and for 7 games, we were a really good rushing football team. We lost Sonaris, and things, you know, our production went down because of what, you know, we lost a great back. And Jeremy had to shoulder the burdens. So, long story short, it's not going to be hard at all because he understands, our whole offense understands, we need to be able to do both. We have to maintain balance. Our rushing attacks takes a lot of pressure off of our passing game, more in particular our pass protection. So it'll be easy. That's who I am.
4 fullbacks on the roster this year.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago you had 0. Does that indicate what you back said?
No, that's just it does, yes. It's a philosophy of mine. You know, myself and David Borbley, who's my right-hand man, we believe in lead football. We believe that there's still a fullback. You know, we found one. You know, it was a dinosaur. But lead football is very important. And, you know, we'll create that multiple ways, a lot of different ways. What we've done with the kids that I'm not for sure what release you saw, who's listed on that, but we have candidates that we're trying out for lead blockers. You know, guys who have to handle the lead blocking chores, guys who have to handle the ball in the passing game. We'll also use our tight ends to help us do that too. That's why that position is so important.
Shawn, how much did Jake need to learn from Mario, or how much did he have to pick up in the spring to make all those calls?
It's a good question. You know, Jake had a great example in Mario. You know, Jake obviously played beside him for 2 years, and with that experience that, you know, because really Mario's the one who helped develop Jake, you know, with the line calls. And those guys that play inside, the 2 guards in the center, they are tied together at the hip. So he's had a great example in Mario how to trigger the calls. And as a guard last year, honestly, he could have done it himself. We let the center captain those calls for us. So he had a great, you know, example in Mario. So that's been a huge benefit for him and his career. So he didn't miss a beat. honestly, when he went in there in the spring, which was one of our plans, a portion of practice, it's the second week we're going to install him in that position and see what we could get. And when he went in there, it just calmed the whole offense down. I mean, we started working at a very high efficient rate. The communication, which is critical in the offensive line, as you can imagine, for the blocking patterns, he was spot on. So it's had a great settling effect. Plus now, our younger players, the two guys behind him, Romano and Klusman, have benefited from his experience. It's a little clearer when guys give the information.
How quickly has he kind of, you talked about it last year, becoming more vocal? How quickly has he adjusted to that role?
He's always been a very passionate player, and he's always, played with his convictions, so it's been pretty easy for him. He's been a natural leader. Number one, he loves the game. Number two, he's a great competitor. And because of those things now, when he's been put in that position with the knowledge that he has, it's easy. I mean, it's kind of natural for him, if that makes sense. I mean, he's done a tremendous job.
Coach, can you speak on James Quick and what his impression about him and what he needs to work on? Just kind of
He's no longer James Quick. His new name is James Fast. He's very fast. And he's also very quick, but he's got unbelievable speed. And the thing that I was part of the recruiting process with him. Vance recruited him along with Ron Dugan, and I was involved kind of as another wheel in the cog. But you don't know that. At least I didn't know that. I knew he had great character. I knew he was a great competitor. I watched him play basketball. Obviously watched him play on film as a football player. I knew he had all these skills. But what I've been really impressed with James is it really comes easy to him. He's a natural football player. I mean, he has football intelligence to go along with all those gifts. He still does freshman things. He tried to take a reverse the wrong way yesterday. I mean, not literally the wrong way, but receiving the ball. There's some fundamental things like every position, every kid has to work on. But as far as football goes, and we've held him accountable. Not like some of the other freshmen, we've held him accountable to learn and stay in pace with Copeland and JD, and he's done it without batting an eye. I mean, it's been kind of scary. He gets it. So, most impressive thing for me about him has been his football intelligence. He's a natural football player.
In talking with Damien after practice yesterday, he was talking about how much time he spent
Yep.
in the playbook.
Right.
Leadership, that
Yeah. See, that's what we have now as part of the culture here. We did not have that, when we first got here. Obviously, when I joined the ship, we didn't have that. Those are all things that have been developed, and those things usually happen because of great character. We have great character. Damien is an example of a guy who has taken James, who could be he's a competition in his position, but he's taken him because, we have a saying here, the team, the team, the team. It's always about the team. And they've invested back in each other. So Damien's an example of the type of leadership, the culture that we have here. He gives back because, he knows he's going to get his back by giving, of himself. So it's been really gratifying as part of the summer to see how well those kids have worked together, what they've done with each other, how they've invested in each other. I know James has got a leg up because of Damien. I know that whole tight end group has impacted Towbridge. I know that. There's no doubt about it, because there's an expectation that goes along with that too. This is how we do it. This is why we do it. This is how you do it, and we do. And they pull them in the fold and hold them accountable, which is the way you want as a coach. You want your locker room to run the team, so that you can coach it. So that's what happens. They run it, we coach it. So that's when things are pretty good.
Brought back everybody in the coaching staff. How important is chemistry, and how much fun are you guys having coaching these guys?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, the fun part is the challenge, of the opportunities that lay out there. So that's been a lot of fun to be around. All the guys I work with, they're tremendous coaches. We've grown together. We've done a lot of things. I came in with these ideas of this package, and we have really molded it and shaped it together. Some of the things I didn't like about it, they've helped me fix. They've done a tremendous job of coaching it, and they've supported. The support they've given me has been unbelievable because everybody's on the same page. And then what's awesome about it is how we work together offensively and defensively. We actually self-scout each other, and we break it down as though we're going to play one another. I listen to Vance about so many issues that I have, and he helps me find answers. He helps me see what we are and what I need to do to maybe hide our intentions from the people we're playing. So there's an overall, there's a great chemistry between us. And Charlie sets it. Now, Charlie sets it. The culture is him, and that's who he is.
All right, guys. I'm going to put Teddy Bridgewater